Every business idea starts with a vision. Some visions are smaller, like I want to build a coffee house in the middle of Munich. Others are bigger. I want to build the world's biggest search engine. Well, independent of the scope of your vision, you need to probably communicate it to others. And this is especially important in an innovative setting. You don't know a lot about the context, about your idea, and you need to evoke the right images with others. So how do you do that, and what are pitfalls?
This is perhaps a little bit of a embarrassing answer, but the first prototype of that product looked really poor. So it was more or less a scientific demonstration. Because at the time when we really moved into developing a prototype for that product, that was exactly the time when we found that we can't actually start that way.
Let's look at a very simple example. Meet Max. Max is a visionary. Max envisions the biggest and best coffee house in Munich. And he tells his friend Lisa about it. So, what do you think Lisa has on her mind when he talks about his coffee house idea? Well, Lisa just recently came back from Vienna, and her image is quite clear. She imagines an old-style 19th century coffee house with waiters dressed up in suits. You get coffee and cake, you rest there for hours, and obviously free newspapers. However, Max recently came back from a trip from the United States, and he enjoyed very much the coffee shop culture over there. So in Silicon Valley, he met with a lot of business partners and friends, and he was amazed by the ease and the efficiency of this business model. And he thinks about selling espresso and bagels and donuts and brownies rather than coffee and cake. So he imagines a hotspot for the local creative and entrepreneurial scene. What you were just about to witness is a classical communication problem, especially in innovative settings, when the term is not quite clear, and if you don't know what you actually want to do, context is crucial. Context is crucial because words themselves, equal if written or spoken, are ambiguous. So think about the word tiger. Now, what came to your mind? Did you think about the animal? Did you think about the fighter jet? Or did you think about a golf professional? So what you can see is that depending on your experiences and your preconditions, you have a certain image in mind when you hear a certain word. And this is what you keep in mind when you talk about your ideas. Context matters. Otherwise, this leads to miscommunication. So, how can you make sure everybody knows and understands context? Well, the answer is simple. Build prototypes. Enhance your words with things. Do you know what a Pokemon is? Well, probably not. Probably yes. Pictures help. This picture of a prototype clearly tells you what it is, or at least what it could be. So, what do prototypes really do? Prototypes help you provide a holistic picture for your customers or within your team. Prototypes do exactly that. They provide a holistic perspective. So, they help you think in systems. No product exists on its own. There's always influencing factors. Knowing every of these influencing factors in advance is very difficult. You have to experience it. Prototypes also help you to broaden your horizon. So you can think out of the box or in completely different scenarios, industries or fields. You can put these prototypes anywhere you want and come up with new ideas. And finally, they help you validate the opportunity criteria. So you know better what is feasible, what your customers want at a very early stage in your venture creation process. Isn't that good? Before you rush out of the building now, testing your prototypes, one word of warning. What we call a prototype here is probably not what someone from the industry understands as a prototype. So, for example, if you talk to someone from a manufacturing company, a prototype for them is something that is close to serial production. This is not where you are. In essence, if we're talking about social prototyping, and that's what this session is about, we are talking much more about the process of prototyping rather than the output. So the social prototype can be something completely different at a later stage than, for example, your MVP or your final product. And to clarify what we mean, let's look at 3 different types of prototypes and what we think they are. When we talk about prototypes, we distinguish social prototypes, minimum viable products, and final products. So a social prototype is something that is a mock-up of the customer's problems. It helps you to clarify what customers mean together with customers. It is not working in the solution domain yet. An MVP is something more. It's the minimum feature set. It's something that proposes a solution and also wants to trigger a buying reflex with the customer. So you want to figure out who is your customer and what are they willing to pay. In the end, the final product is something where you want to figure out, is my business really profitable? Well, next to if you can sell it, obviously. With the final product, you know about production costs, you know about the bill of materials, you have a lot of professional knowledge that you don't have in the beginning. But at the moment, this shouldn't matter. Start small, start with the social prototype. So you may now be asking, how am I supposed to approach social prototyping? What am I supposed to do? What is the room supposed to look like? What do my participants have to bring? Well, we say all this doesn't matter. In the beginning, the most important thing is that you start. Another idea is to just use paper, scissors, clay, and all other material you can find at home. Piece something together. It doesn't need to look fancy or anything. It needs to communicate in your team or to a potential customer group. If you have a little more space, try and build a mood board. Cut out pictures from newspapers. Try to build a vision of the future, a vision of the system your product lives in. Another idea is to use storyboards. So you can draw a service process, you can draw a movie of how your world changes when your product is there. Be creative. In the end, what you also can do with paper, you can build physical prototypes. You can fold it to visualize navigation, you can fold it and visualize UI, make a haptic feeling with very little expenditure. You can also visualize navigation and usability by combining all these methods. You can create 3D artifacts, you can create a navigation for your website with a few pieces of paper and a pencil. So what keeps you from doing it?